cold wind howled across the plains of Parsa, swirling dust beneath a gray sky. Cyrus the Great, draped in a golden cloak, held his sword in hand and stared into the horizon. Before him stood Alexander the Great, bronze helmet gleaming, heart pounding for conquest. Two legendary conquerors, two worlds, one imaginary battle. The horses neighed, the swords were sharpened. Who would claim this battlefield? Are you ready to enter a story that history never witnessed? Stay with us. This tale will steal your breath away. The plain of Parsa lay silent under the pale light of dawn. The columns of Persepolis, like stone sentinels, watched the plain from afar. Cyrus the Great, with gray hair and eyes filled with wisdom, stood atop a hill, surveying the Achaemenid army. Persian cavalry in gleaming gold armor lined up beside swift-footed archers and infantry. Cyrus knew this land like the back of his hand. He had hidden pit traps beneath the soil to stop the enemy's cavalry. Archers were stationed on distant hills like eagles ready to strike. Smiling at his generals, he said, "We fight with mind and heart, not just with blades." Yet a hidden shadow moved within the Persian camp. Cyrus, ever astute, sensed something was amiss, but stayed silent. In war, he knew, silence can be louder than any cry. Across the field, Alexander the Great, clad in crimson cloak and bronze helmet, stood upon his horse. His proud eyes seemed ready to devour the land. His Macedonian army, 40,000 strong, was a deadly force. The phalanx, with their long spears, formed a wall of steel. Hetairoi cavalry stood ready to charge. Alexander had plotted through the night, aiming to pierce the heart of Cyrus's army with a single swift strike. But there was a problem. A few jealous commanders, tired of his ambition, murmured in the shadows. One whispered, "Why should we die for his pride?" The stench of treason crept through the Macedonian camp. Cyrus, wise and bold, sent Alexander a message. "Make peace. Half of Parsa will be yours." Alexander laughed and replied, "I want everything." Though his army was smaller, it lined up before 100,000 Persians. Cyrus looked at his soldiers as if pouring his very soul into them. Alexander, full of pride and fury, roared, "Tomorrow this land will be ours." Night fell. The stars dimmed. The field was drowned in silence. Traps, swords, and betrayals waited in the dark. This wasn't just a battle. It was a game of destiny. The sun rose over Parsa. Dust rose like a curtain beneath the marching feet. Cyrus stood on his chariot, cloaked in gold, like a king holding the land in his palm. His Achaemenid army, swift riders and hidden archers, was ready. His heart was heavy, but his calm eyes gave his men strength. Across the field, Alexander, fire in his gaze, had arranged his phalanx. His sword gleamed like it was thirsting to split the land in two. The battle began with a roar. Persian cavalry charged the Macedonian left flank like a crashing wave. From the hills, Cyrus's archers rained arrows like a storm, piercing the earth.
Alexander countered by opening his phalanx and sending his Hetairoi cavalry toward the Persian heart. But the traps were waiting. Macedonian horses fell into pits. Riders tumbled to the ground. Cyrus, from atop his hill, watched the battle like a master of chess, predicting every enemy move. Still, Alexander didn't back down. With a feigned retreat, he lured the Persians forward. The Persian riders gave chase, but the dust became a deadly curtain, blinding their vision. With a cry, Alexander unleashed his cavalry like lightning toward Cyrus's center. He led the charge himself, spear in hand, aiming to strike down Cyrus. Swords clashed, blood turned the soil to mud. The Persians bent under the weight, but never broke. Amidst the swirling dust, Cyrus changed his plan. He sent his western cavalry to flank Alexander's right. The phalanx buckled, but stood firm. Then Alexander launched a wedge formation straight at the Persian center. Dust swallowed the battlefield. His commanders whispered among themselves, waiting for the perfect moment. Cyrus, eyes fixed on the fight, knew the fate of this land rested in his hands. The plain echoed with steel and screams. No one could tell who had the upper hand. Dust blanketed the land like a shroud. Alexander, with his Hitaroi, stormed into the Persian heart like a hurricane. His sword dripped blood, his eyes locked on Cyrus. Fury surged in his chest as if he meant to crush the world beneath his feet. But Cyrus, calm as a mountain, remained one step ahead. With a signal, archers rained arrows from the hills. Macedonians scattered. The phalanx, once a wall of iron, began to crack. Then the tide turned. A few of Alexander's commanders, weary of his pride, betrayed him. They secretly revealed his attack plans to Cyrus. Cyrus, sharp as ever, sent cavalry to smash the Macedonian left. The phalanx collapsed. Soldiers vanished in the dust. Alexander shouted, "Fight on!" But betrayal spread like poison. His army, hearts broken, began to retreat. Alexander, angrier, lonelier than ever, stood alone. Cyrus entered the heart of the battlefield. Standing tall on his golden chariot, he cried out, "This land belongs to Parsa." Persian riders surged like a tide. Alexander was trapped in the dust, his horse wounded, his spear lost. Cyrus approached, sword lowered, and said, "Make peace, conqueror." But Alexander, burning with fury, looked only behind. The plain echoed with Persian victory cries. As the dust settled, the plain of Parsa came alive under the sun once more. The once mighty Macedonian army lay scattered and broken. Alexander, with a few loyal riders, fled toward the distant mountains. His sword lost in the dust, his pride shattered. Cyrus, crowned in gold, stood atop a hill, gazing upon his army. The Persians roared in triumph, as if the land itself trembled in joy. Laying down his sword, Cyrus told his men, "We rise with justice, not with blood." Instead of chasing Alexander, he ordered torches lit and a Persian celebration to begin on the field.
The columns of Persepolis, watching from afar, seemed to smile at Cyrus. This wasn't just a victory, it was a lesson. Wisdom and heart are sharper than any blade. Cyrus the Great, with cunning and leadership, didn't just reclaim the plain of Parsa. He carved his name into eternity.